interwebs, and welcome back to another Novel Monday stream. We are here once again with Seduce Me, and we're on James's route. Virgil is here this time once again. Good. They're pissy because I'm late for stream. So, anyway, let's go on ahead and just continue on here. All right.
You forgot your most crucial task that you forget every fucking time.
Oh, I forgot to share my screen. You see, this is why you're here. This is what I do not pay you for.
You better start paying me when you get affiliate. This is a job. I was forced to stay awake from after school for this. I better start getting paid when you reach affiliate. If I'm not getting paid when you get affiliate, I'm gonna throw it. Just saying.
Wow.
I'm gonna go back to working on Cal now.
All right.
Not Flint. Not Flint. Zio. Fuck.
All right. A wave of happiness washed over me as I laid in bed. I made a good choice. Sure, it would be hard, but I could tell that I would be able to manage it. Help around the house and being with a man whom I was slowly starting to fall for would be worth it. I slowly felt my exhaustion take over. I let sleep consume me as I drifted into the darkness in my mind. Everything was peaceful. I was happy. And then, yeah. There we go.
You are an interesting creature.
I opened my eyes to see a woman staring down at me with a very sly smirk on her face. I opened my mouth to scream in fright, but a hand quickly covered my mouth.
Ah. No screaming now. Too early, silly girl.
I could only stare up at the woman above me. I still felt weak, not having the strength to move and fight her off. What was going on, and why was she here?
Why do the boys like you? You're unique, yes, but that can't be all that you have going for you.
Rage began to consume my core again. This woman, whoever she was making me mad. She must have known as she let another smirk grow onto her face. What?
Ooh,
I said she's a hot
you're
woman.
feisty.
Oh.
That could be why.
Before I could bite her hand in anger, she removed her hand from my lips, standing up and staring down at me from her place next to my bed. Why now does my back decide to itch? I hate myself. Anyway, I quickly sat up and glared daggers at the intruder. She was very beautiful, but I felt more anger than amazement.
You might have to fix my cropping because I moved my camera.
Why? Oh my god, I hate you. Why?
You were getting a really bad angle.
No, you were fine. Oh
no,
my
I
freaking
was
god.
not. I can move you here. Hold on.
You're not centered anymore. Fix yourself.
No, because then you get a side profile, and I don't like my side profile.
Oh my god. Well, you're gonna be cropped weird because you're not centered in your webcam. So. I hate you.
You love me.
I hate you.
You love me.
I hate you.
You love me.
I feel like one of those freaking like girls.
He's not a self-insert. He's not a self-insert. He's not a self-insert. Virgil, please.
You're really small now because I was trying to make sure the cropping that I did for you made you look somewhat decent, but now you're just okay. Well, whatever. You're just gonna have to deal with it because you're not centered to your webcam. So.
Sorry.
Who the hell are you, and why are you in my room? The woman began to laugh, making the rage inside me increase. I wanted to punch her, but I waited for her answer.
How silly of me. I forgot that we demons are not well known of in your world. You can call me Diana, little human.
Diana? Demon? You're a demon?
I am, but I'm much more than just an average demon.
What do you mean?
Silly girl.
Why
I'm a
is Mika so
succubus.
dumb?
Because she's supposed to be. I stared at Diana in shock. A succubus? First incubi and now a succubus. Great! I had now met both genders of sex demons. Diana crossed her arms under her bosom and looked at my body.
Well, you are pretty, but you seem very reckless. Too reckless.
I moved down and stood from the bed, still glaring at Diana. Why are you here?
Oh, I just wanted to see who my competition was.
Competition?
For the boys, of course. They don't belong here, and yet here they remain. I want to know why
But you belong
and
here with
remedy this
me.
little issue.
This girl was seriously pissing me off.
He's not a sucker.
Issue? What issue? They want to stay here so they can.
Silly, uneducated human. You don't understand the important roles these boys play in the abyssal planes. You keeping them here is practically imprisonment.
You have about 10 seconds to leave.
Is that a threat? How cute. What are you going to do? Kill me?
And if I do?
You barely have the strength to stand, little human. I can rip the rest of your energy out and knock you into a coma. You'll never be able to wake up again.
I freaking love how Virgil just sits here and
Shut
just pops everything out. It's great.
Shut up. It's a habit.
Touch me at all.
Enjoy every minute of it.
I felt my body freeze and heat up to almost a painful haze. My mind began to feel fuzzy as Diana stepped to me and caressed my cheek. Don't touch me!
Now, you're going to listen to everything I say without any questions. Got it?
No. I nodded.
Good. I plan to bring the boys back to the abyssal planes. Why? So that I can take my place as queen of their realm. They have no reason to be here in this silly little world, so I'm going to make sure they return home. Okay, Pumpkin?
I nodded but growled. My rage couldn't be concealed, despite the hold I was under. You evil bitch.
Call me evil all you want, dearie. I'm not evil. You're just in my way.
I felt Diana lean to I felt Diana lean into my ear and whisper, making me unconsciously shiver in both pleasure and annoyance.
Now, be a good little human and go to bed. I'll
Shut
make
up.
sure they're gone before you get home tomorrow from school. So make sure to say goodbye in the morning.
I felt my body move on its own to lay in the bed and cover itself in my bed sheets. I glared at Diana the entire way down. Diana laughed at my futility. I'll get you, bitch whore.
Oh,
Oh god.
please do.
All of a sudden, her voice deepened and became cold and demonic, sending a violent, scared shiver down my spine. Her red eyes practically illuminated in the darkness of my room as she glared at me.
Give me a reason to make your life a living hell.
I gritted my teeth, trying to fight back against the hold on me. She couldn't have been that tough. She needed energy to survive, right? I was sure she couldn't have had enough to hold me down forever. Diana then laughed and returned to normal.
Oh, and make sure you don't tell the boys I was here. I want my visit to be a surprise.
I felt the hold on me disappear, allowing me to sit up and practically growl at Diana in rage. What's stopping me?
Then you must not care about your friends and family as much as you care for the boys.
I stopped and stared. What did she mean by that? Was that a threat to my family? Diana smirked at me, knowing the confusion behind my eyes.
Let's just say that if you tell the boys about me, I'll make sure that no one will care for you, and you'll be all alone in this little house until the day you die.
I could feel fear creeping into me. Alone? How could she do that? The word demon reverberated in my head, reminding me that I was facing off against something supernatural. A human with a shield versus a devil was one thing, a human on her own versus a demon was another.
Have a good night.
And with that, Diana sank into the floor through a magic purple pentagram, which disappeared as her head vanished into the floor. I couldn't believe it. I had one problem and now I had another. Instead of a crazy psycho devil who wanted to kill me and the boys, I had a succubus wanting to ruin my life and take the boys away. Could my life get any worse? No, I wasn't gonna let her win. She's not as powerful as she looks. I know it. We can go ahead and skip this. Diana.
So,
Here we go. At last we saw Diana by the entrance of the kitchen, juggling a single red apple in her hand as she leaned against the archway. The boys quickly surrounded me, glaring at the intruder.
so, you took up a human name as well.
Beautiful name, isn't it? Well, for a human name, anyway.
What the hell do you want?
To bring you back, of course. However, you weren't supposed to know that I was coming. I completely forgot about that little mind-reading ability. My mistake.
Diana pushed off from the archway and walked towards us, making the boys step closer to me in a protective circle. Diana laughed.
My, my, my. What has the world come to? A group of demons protecting a human girl? I'll tell you right now, she's not that pretty. And from what I can tell, she's still a virgin.
My face grew red in complete anger and embarrassment. How dare she?
Y'all just always get a performance anyway.
Oh, hell no! Yes, and we love it. We love it.
I'm just vibing. I'm trying to draw, and this is just vibing.
I stepped up, gently pushing the boys away to be face to face with Diana. I was furious, and she was about to feel my wrath. You are in my house. You are an intruder. You have no power here.
Oh, really? Do I have to remind you of the power I have, dear?
With a snap of her fingers, my mind suddenly locked up and I felt blank. I could see the world around me, but I lost control of my body. The boys quickly reformed around me, with James gripping onto Diana's wrist in anger.
You will leave this instant.
Or what? You'll kill me? I completely dare you to.
Let me do it. I could use the workout.
Don't.
The boys looked to Damien while Diana smirked in my blank state. I wanted to fight this hold, but her power held me down.
And why not? She wants us to kill her.
Excuse me.
If she dies, then civil war starts in the demon world.
Ow.
Very good, sweetie.
The heck did you just do to yourself, Virgil?
I'm picking at a pimple.
Oh my god.
It just won't
What
go
happens
away.
in the demon world doesn't concern us anymore.
Yes, it
You live
fucking
here
does,
now.
you fucking dumbass.
The demons will come to the human world and hunt us down before attacking each other.
Why is Damien the only sensible one of the boys?
The demons will come to the human world all because of her?
You sneaky bitch.
With another snap of Diana's fingers, I was released from her hold, almost buckling to my knees.
Well, will you all change your minds? I assure you, it's for the greater good.
I expected the boys to say no. What I heard was complete silence. None of the boys replied to Diana, which made me both nervous and fearful as to why. Diana leaned her head back a bit, surprised for a different reason.
No. Well, I see.
Was silence truly them saying no to her? I looked around at the boys and saw the disobedience in their eyes, giving me my answer. I felt my heart flutter, especially when my eyes landed on James. He kept close to me, glaring daggers into Diana. I could feel that he was completely adamant in his choice to stay. I didn't know blah. I don't know what, but I was incredibly happy to know he wanted to stay. Diana sighed and pressed a finger into her temple, rubbing it gently.
Either all of you are playing a very convincing hard-to-get game, or you all must be out of your minds.
Diana then looked to me, locking her gaze with mine as if to read me. I could tell she wanted to do something, but the boys would stop her, so the stare was her only available action. After a small moment of silence, Diana licked her lips before breaking the gaze battle and smiling to the boys around me.
Very well. I guess I'll take my leave now.
What? Her leave? Was she serious? The boys around me straightened up and grew confused looks on their faces as Diana stepped back and away from us with a small bow, flaunting her cleavage, because that's just Diana.
I love Diana. She's so hot.
Without another word, a deep purple pentagram appeared under her feet and Diana's body slowly sank into the floor. As her head vanished into the floor, the pentagram vanished. At once the boys relaxed and slowly began to return to their spots at the table, each in deep thought. Okay, we could skip all this.
There's no need.
Oh, wait. We'll do this. Uh, James walked over to me and gently caressed my cheek, looking at me with a comforting smile.
There's no need to worry. I promise she won't hurt you.
I nodded, feeling that he was telling the truth, or at least a hopeful and comforting thought. James kissed my forehead, however, making me blush and forget what I was thinking about. The sound of collective chuckles and playful snickers whispered through the air, making me blush even more. But the sudden growl that erupted from the man above me made the laughter stop. I didn't see James's face, but I could tell he was glaring at his brothers with his lips on my head. He and I pulled away from each other just as the sound of Naomi's car appeared. I quickly ate my food, waved to the boys, and left, confident that nothing was going to happen. All right,
Students.
Miss Diana.
here you go, Virgil. My heart stopped.
So problem here. I'm gonna have to go in a minute.
Why?
Because okay, so you know how my sister's supposed to bring me like stuff for school and whatever. So she's like, I'm gonna be there in like 5 minutes. You have to come down and get them yourself. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And she's
Well-
like, you have to be ready, blah blah blah. I'm in a hurry, and I'm like, could have fucking waited for tomorrow then if you're in such a fucking hurry. Anyways,
Will you be back, or?
Yeah, I'll be back. I just don't know when I'm gonna dip.
Oh, okay.
So
Alright, that's fine. My heart stopped. At the door with the dean was Diana, looking over the students and smirking as her eyes landed on me. She strutted to the teacher's desk, ignoring or welcoming the whispers from the other students, before sitting on the wood and crossing her legs.
Thank you, Dean. You can go now.
With a wave of Diana's hand, the dean left the classroom, closed the door, and left the area. Diana smiled at us, making my stomach turn. What was she going to do?
So, history. History. Such a silly thing, isn't it? I mean, what do we care about the past? We're in the present.
The rest of the class, including Naomi and Suzu, hesitantly nodded in agreement, unsure about this new teacher, but willing to listen to more of what she had to say.
The present is so full of wonderful things. While the labors of the past are the reason we have many things, it is our chance and privilege to utilize what has been given to us.
Her charm was almost infectious. The class was practically starting to eat out of her hand. I looked around to see classmates grinning and agreeing with Diana. I pressed my lips together as I listened further. I had no choice.
What's even funnier about human beings is that some of the bits of history we hear as either made up or completely biased to one side. It's like a story you read as a child. You hear of the princess and the prince, and they live happily ever after. But what about the family she left behind? What of her friends?
The students listened and agreed intently to her words. I could tell, however, that these words were all targeted at me.
The original story of the Little Mermaid, a perfect example of biased opinion. Here we have a girl who thinks she can be with this prince, but this prince has to marry a princess. What would happen if the mermaid had her way? What makes the mermaid so important that the princess has to suffer the consequences?
It doesn't matter what happens to the princess. The rest of the class turned their heads to me. Naomi and Suzu looked at me with equally surprised looks. I kept my eyes to Diana. If I was the mermaid, I wasn't going to let the princess take my prince away. Diana stared at me before smiling and turning her body to fully face me.
Oh? And why does it not matter?
The story is about the princess. The story is about the mermaid and the prince.
Ah, but that is exactly my point. While the story talks about the mermaid and the prince's romance, we don't see the problems of the kingdom the prince rules. While we are all fixated with this love story, we ignore the fact the kingdom would fall
I'll be back.
apart without the
All right.
marriage between the prince and princess.
All right. She kept her eyes to me as she spoke. I knew she wanted to make her words stick in my mind, but I didn't listen. It was one thing to be a fictional story, it was another to try and ruin someone's life for selfishness. Diana chuckled and looked back to the class.
Well, luckily in the real story of the Little Mermaid, the mermaid knows that what she was doing was wrong, and she threw herself into the ocean, turning into sea foam.
Some of the students that surrounded me mumbled in surprise, obviously not knowing the real story. However, Diana was wrong once again. That's not true. Once again, the class looked to me, and Diana faced me with another smile.
Not true. How so?
The trade-off for becoming human was marrying the prince or turning into sea foam. However, she was also given the choice to kill the prince and turn back into a mermaid. The mermaid didn't because she loved him and sacrificed herself for that love. That is a story worth telling. Not some princess getting her way, but of a tragedy that had befallen on a girl who only wanted love. The class applauded me, with Suzu giving me her usual punch to my shoulder, and Naomi smiling at my logic. Diana, however, finally grew an almost angered face at me.
Interesting. So what you are saying is that the princess should be given no mind.
The story is not about the princess. The story is about the mermaid, and the mermaid should have gotten her prince.
Even at the risk of a kingdom falling apart?
Even if the entire world fell apart around them, duty does not overrule love, and the princess needs to realize this. The applause that followed intensified with whoops and hollers. I felt a wave of confidence roll through my body. Diana wasn't going to win. I wasn't going to let her.
Nothing.
Diana then stopped talking and looked to the clock on the wall, reading it quickly. This class had barely begun. Why was she looking at the time? Diana then leaned against the blackboard and smiled to us. I became
really
worried.
continued without
You know
me.
what?
Of course I did.
School isn't important.
I have
Everyone,
missed this
go
scene
ahead and
every
head home.
time.
Take the week off.
Sorry. Well, because I didn't know how long you were going to be gone.
I had to run downstairs and grab socks.
Oh, well, sorry. The students suddenly began to chat happily or in confusion of the situation. Many thought it was a dream come true, others knew better. Before anyone could protest, however, Diana pressed the finger to her lips and counted down with her fingers in the air. 3, 2, 1. The speakers at the classroom gently awoke, giving us an announcement we would never believe.
Attention students, due to an emergency faculty meeting, we will be closing school for the remainder of the day and this entire week. Please leave the school quickly and quietly and have a good rest of the week.
She used her powers on them. Damn it. I felt the need to stop her, but how could I stop a demon in the middle of a public area? Diana smiled before gesturing to the door.
Have a nice week off. School will resume next week.
Many of the students filed out, chatting to each other about new impromptu plans. Susie was beyond happy, but Naomi was hesitant. Before we could pack up and leave, however, Diana stepped to us.
Excuse me, little miss. I'd like you to stay a little while. There's something we need to discuss.
As Diana looked to Suzu and Naomi, she snapped her fingers, making my friends tense up.
You two can head home. Don't worry about your friend until next week, okay? If you contact her, she won't reply, so don't bother. If she contacts you, ignore her, because she's just fine.
As if on command, Suzu and Naomi left the room. I tried to march after them, but Diana stepped in my path, warning me with her eyes that if I followed, there would be hell to pay. I had
Literally.
lost... What?
I said literally.
I had lost my two friends, at least for the week. Diana and I were alone, just like she wanted. I slammed my hands on the desk in front of me and glared at Diana. What are you doing and what are you thinking?
What? Do I not make a good teacher? I figured you should have a little lesson, so I took matters into my own hands.
Whatever you're trying to do won't work.
You really think so, dear? And what makes you so sure about that?
What was making me so sure? Why was I confident? Were the boys worth this? My thoughts began to fill with doubt. All of the uncertainties about this whole ordeal began to cloud my mind. If the boys were ever found out, there would be hell to pay. Was it worth it? What about Diana? What would she do to me? Would she make my parents forget about me completely? Would she ruin my friends' lives out of spite? In my gut, I felt a stone of confidence try to fight back, but the heaviness of my thoughts began to dissolve that stone little by little. What was going on with me? I looked up to Diana once again to see her gaze boring into my eyes. She was using her powers on me. This time I was away from home, so I couldn't escape. Or could I? Did I want to? The way she stared at me made me feel warm and fuzzy inside my chest. I felt like melting. Diana lifted a hand under my chin and ran her thumb over my lips, licking her own. I could feel little shots of energy zipping from under my skin into my chin where she held me.
Now, let's have a little taste of that sweet, virginal sexual energy.
I don't know why I hate this line so much.
I watched as she leaned in, ready to kiss me and take my energy. Half of my body felt elation at the idea. The other half completely rejected it and didn't want her to even touch me. James, help me! Suddenly, Diana stopped in her tracks.
James, who is...
It then dawned on her.
Ah, one of the boys. Why don't you tell me which boy is James?
I felt myself nod in compliance. The oldest. Nah. Diana giggled in reply before letting go of my face and stepping back.
Really? The eldest son with you?
I nodded once again, but this time it was partly my own decision to reply. Diana let out a sound that mimicked a cat's purr before stepping away from me.
All right, then. Well, if it's the eldest son you're infatuated with, you should really rethink your romantic options.
Bitch, you're literally married to him.
Well,
do you
about to
mean?
be, at least.
Sorry, you are engaged to him. What do you mean rethink your romantic options?
Diana chuckled before kissing my nose, where I felt a shot of energy zap out of my body, almost making me dizzy and recoil. Diana then turned to the desk and sat on the wood, crossing her legs.
You can go now. Remember, no class for the rest of the week.
And how am I supposed to get home? My two friends left me here thanks to you.
Oh, were they your ride? My apologies. Let me help then.
Diana then lifted her hand and snapped her fingers. I suddenly felt the floor sink from underneath me, forcing me to look down. A purple pentagram surrounded my feet, pulling me into the ground. I'm not doing that. Just I've done it so many times now. I like just nah. Before I could fight, however, I sank fully into the floor, fading into darkness and shutting my eyes. Alright, we can go ahead and skip this because this is just here we can do
Please,
this.
just trust him.
That way, Virgil can sip over his voice. Yeah. Yada 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 yada. Yeah.
I really just am some big James simp.
You are. After what seemed like hours, I finally woke up, slightly refreshed. My body knew that if I slept any longer, I'd be up all night, which was not part of the plan for the day. I can't relate to that statement at all. I rubbed my eyes and sat up, letting a soft groan escape my lips. In response, something beside my bed shuffled, causing me to look over. I didn't know what I was expecting. Beside me, sitting in a chair beside the bed, was James, rousing himself to see me awake. I smiled at him, seeing his slightly ruffled hair and tired eyes.
Oh, you're awake. Good. How do you feel?
Better. James nodded before he gently reached over and ran his hand through my hair, examining my face with soft sadness.
I'm sorry this is all happening to you. I really wish there was something I could do to fix all of this.
Um, uh, James, it's not your fault.
No, if we never came, then you'd never be targeted by either Malix or Diana.
I
Shut
quick-
up!
I quickly reached
I will
over.
slap the shit out of you.
I-
Shut up! You are not at fault for other people's fucking actions. Shut the fuck up!
I quickly reached over and put my finger on his lips, stopping him from going any further. I didn't want to hear anymore.
Sorry.
James, it's okay. I wanted to help you out. I offered to let you all stay. Nothing is your fault. I gently moved my hand and cupped James's cheek, staring at him with concern. I didn't want him to hold guilt in his mind about this whole ordeal. Diana was desperate and she'd hunt anyone for them. It wasn't his fault she was desperate enough to hunt them down. However, I was curious. So, James, you're a demon prince? James then twirled a strand of my hair around his finger, staring at it.
Yes, I am. I was.
Was?
I was a demon prince when I lived in the Abyssal Plains. I didn't enjoy a single minute of being the heir. The only moments I truly enjoyed were when I was with my brothers. Thus, I left with them to come here.
What was it like while you were there?
Well, other than consistent studying and training to be a resilient leader and all-around ruthless lord, it was bland. I never truly knew what freedom was until I was excused from my sessions.
James looked to me with a thoughtful look on his face. I stared back, wondering what was going through his mind. He then smiled before taking off his glasses and placing them on me. I was surprised, but instead of seeing him, I saw dark gold and purple magic swirl in front of my eyes through the glass. The vision cleared and I suddenly was back in the demon castle. I looked around, feeling stuck in place, but my eyes instantly landed on a demon version of James. He was sitting on the throne of the main hall, reading over a book with an intense expression. It was kind of cute to see, but he read in silence.
You'll wear out your eyes if you read too much.
James looked up from his book to see a figure materialize in front of him. It was an older woman with a black cloak and aged horns. I could see she had power, though, and it gave me shivers to look at her.
Sirona, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at
I
the
love
Lord
that
gathering
name.
with my father?
Maybe it's just because it reminds me of Serana, though.
I should, yes. But I had to stop by and see the Demon Lord's favorite son before I head in.
I am honored. However, I must apologize and return to my reading.
Of course, of course.
Oh,
Wouldn't want to
the
make the
fucking way
Demon
his
Lord
voice just
angry now,
it just
would you?
deepens, and
I could see James's eye twitch a bit at her comment. However, James simply bowed his head and went back to his book in silence. Sharona shook her head and let out a chuckle.
What will you do when you become the Demon Lord? It's such a big responsibility.
James looked up once again, confused at the question. Sharona simply smiled and began to walk away.
Think about that.
James and I watched her walk away, both of us with the same surprised and confused expression. I looked back to James to see him press his lips together and stare at the floor. Anyone could tell that he was lost, unsure of how to even answer that to himself. It was strange to see him in a form of weakness, jostled at a simple question that was more than it appeared. James closed his eyes and closed the book on his lap. It was then that I noticed the tired circles under his eyes. He had been working himself to the bone with his training and reading. When was the last time he slept? I could feel James in the real world gently slide his glasses from my face and place them back on his. It took, excuse me, sorry. It took me a second to recenter my vision, but I then looked to James, who smiled at me.
It was then that I decided to find my brothers. Little did I know that they were wanting me to come on a trip that would make me leave my entire realm to be in a new world.
I stared up at him, surprised, before bringing my hand gently back onto his cheek and running a thumb softly under his eye. He looked healthier and a lot less tired than when I saw him in the vision. Something about that made me happy. James gently leaned into my hand, closing his eyes and relaxing. He then slightly smiled, trying to joke.
So, how does it feel to hold the affections of an ex-demon prince?
I stared, feeling my cheeks glow red in surprise and embarrassment, but I smiled and giggled slightly, running my thumb back and forth along his cheek gently. I have to say, I'm flattered to think you ran away from that life. James frowned, making me stop moving my thumb as he stared at me.
I can promise you, that was no life to live.
But it was your home.
A home is where you can be yourself, not tied to your duty.
James gently ran his hand along my cheek, gingerly outlining the edge of my eye and ear with his thumb.
Home is where all I have to do is care about the ones close to me.
James!
he's just perfect. He's so perfect.
Oh god, here we go. James smiled and gently leaned in, kissing my forehead. I felt a small shiver run down my spine from his kiss, noting that he sneakily took some energy from me in that little kiss. You little... He's a thief! He's a thief!
Now, you need to rest. You're not fully recovered. You might as well rest until dinner is ready.
Nom 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 nom. James smiled and gently pressed me back down onto the bed, leaning his forehead on mine. We're gonna kiss him because we can, and because Virgil would probably kill me if I didn't. Out of playful fun, I lifted my head and gently kissed James, softly laying a hand on his cheek to keep his face close. James stared in surprise before kissing me back, caressing my cheek. slightly melting at the touch of our lips. A soft sigh escaped his lips before he slowly pulled away with a smile. He gently licked his lips, making me go red in the face at the simple gesture. He let out a satisfied hum before nuzzling my forehead.
Rest.
And with that, he stood up and left the room, leaving me to rest as per his request.
I know it's coming every time. I'm just never fucking.
Here, let's hear that one more time
Rest.
for...
No.
Rest. Rest.
And with that, he stood up and left the room, leaving me to rest as per his request. I
No,
smiled
James
to
were
myself
real.
before relaxing into the mattress.
You know, if James were real and told me to sleep, I'd probably get more sleep than I do.
Probably.
Just
Jeez.
saying.
Oh god, you probably would actually get like
A
an
decent
8 hours
sleep
rest.
Yeah,
Jeez.
imagine.
I suddenly tensed up. I felt majorly uneasy. Something wasn't right. I felt it in my core. The only thing I feel in my core is burps, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Only. I'm
What?
not gonna say what I was about to say.
Wait, no. You have to say it now. Say it.
Nope.
Say it. Say it. Say
Nope.
it. Virgil.
Absolutely not.
Say it. Say it.
No.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
Nope.
There's no filter on this stream.
I don't care.
Oh my fucking god.
I have a personal filter.
Jesus. She must be here. The thought of her in the house infuriated me beyond belief. I had to make sure she was not here. I rolled out of bed and quickly left my room, wandering the halls and listening closely. She was a demon, but I was listening very intently. There was no way she would have been able to sneak up on me. I know you're here. Where are you? I could feel myself growl. It wasn't a matter of fear that she'd take the boys away anymore. Her very existence had lit a fire of rage within my gut, which only grew as each day went by. This feud was getting on my nerves, and I knew it would not end well for one of us. I wasn't gonna lose to that demon bitch.
Diana?
Don't shit talk her like that.
I will shit talk her like that.
This scene is so hot.
My heart stopped. Diana was with James. My mind flew into slow motion, playing fake images of Diana trying to seduce James in my head to further fan the angry flame inside of me. I instinctively followed James's voice and approached the study. The door was open just a crack, wide enough to peek in without being noticed. I peeked inside to see James by the bookshelf with Diana in one of the armchairs looking to him.
Silly man, why do you think I'm here?
To be fairly honest, I
Shut
don't really
your
care.
mouth.
I'm hurt,
Oh,
wounded, truly.
Oh god.
You don't care that I came to this
I have
pathetic
no
little
filter
world
for
just
this.
for you?
I'm sorry, let me make this clear. You are not welcome here, so I suggest leaving.
Is that any way to speak to your fiancé?
Diana wasn't his fiancée anymore. Why was she speaking as if the arrangement was still going on?
Our arrangement was broken when I left the Abyssal Plains. You are no longer my fiancé.
What a stubborn man, just like your father. Well, you should know, he decreed that should you return home, you'll maintain your status and keep your birthright.
James would be the heir again. Why?
I don't want it.
You don't want it. You'd give up the...
I said I don't want my damned birthright. What birthright? It's imprisonment, a life sentence. Am I not allowed to be selfish for once in my lifetime?
It's your reason for your birth. Do you not realize what you have?
I could feel James's anger emanating from the crack in the door, fighting with Diana's tension. Diana and James were both matched, staring each other down.
I know exactly what I had. That's all behind me. I'm done with that. To hell with my birthright.
To hell with your birthright. You truly think you can decide that? You are the first son of the Demon Lord. You are the heir to the throne, and I am your bride, the next Demon Queen.
Why Why was Diana so desperate? It irked me to see how desperate she was to get James to return.
Raystrow, you.
Oh shit.
Please, this is so hot.
Oh god! All of a sudden, James ran at Diana and pinned her to the floor by her neck. I felt the need to jump in, but I knew James wasn't trying to do anything romantic. He wouldn't.
Do this to me, please.
Oh, fuck. His voice sent shivers down my spine as they continued to speak with his hand at her throat.
And what gives you the right to use my name like that? Only demons of the same blood are permitted to use each other's true names.
When our families arranged our marriage, I was given
Jesus
permission to use
Christ.
your name as mine. That's what you are, James. You are my
I
husband.
want a photo
I
of this
am
scene
your
so
queen.
bad.
You are my Raystrow. I am your Izeur.
I could hear James growling in anger, like he was ready to bite.
Growl at me like that.
Oh god, he was ready to bite Diana's head off like a wolf would a small deer.
Me.
I felt myself growl quietly to myself as well. However, James pushed himself off of the floor and returned to the opposite side of the room, away from the prone Diana.
I do not
I'm
belong
so
to
gay,
you.
please.
I belong to her.
The human girl? You must be joking. A human like her can't possibly provide you what you need. She is a human. You're a demon.
I felt the urge to storm in and shut her mouth. It would give away my position, but I was growing extremely tired of Diana. Bargain. I decided to be assertive and quickly stepped into the room, throwing the door to the study wide open. Diana and James looked at me in surprise as I glared daggers at Diana. We can skip this.
Oh.
Yeah.
You should. Why are you skipping it?
Because.
So what?
I love her.
Here, I'll let that play. Okay.
A demon love a
Yeah. Oh, shut
Very
up.
well.
But it's
This-
Diana.
But this is the scene we really want, so shut up.
I wanted more of the choking, man.
Oh my god. And with that, Diana fell into the ground into a purple pentagram, crossing her arms and almost looking upset. James and I were then left alone, left with the silence of the room. I finally let out the air I was unconsciously holding in my chest, relaxing from the ordeal. James stepped to me and held me gently, surprising me.
Are you okay?
I nodded in response, unable to speak so immediately after being surprised. James let out a sigh, relaxing in the embrace.
Please.
I gently placed my hands around him, returning the embrace slightly. I mean, that scene is coming up, so.
I want it so bad.
God. I could hear James's heartbeat. He held me close in his arms, and I felt safe beyond words.
I wasn't lying, you know.
I looked up at James,
There's
wondering.
a little shake in his voice.
Oh my god.
He is such a good voice actor.
I looked up at James, wondering what he meant by what he said. James smiled down at me, moving a strand of my hair from my face to look down at me.
I love
You'd
you.
never believe I'm a
I
sophomore
love
in high
every
school.
single fiber of you. Your mind, your body, your soul. You're quite possibly the most interesting woman I have ever met. You always find your way into my mind.
Yup.
You.
I stared wide-eyed, blushing like a maniac. Was this real? No way. This couldn't be real. Was James confessing to me? Confessing his love for me? Sorry, I have to make that dramatic. I have to.
I'm sorry. Michaela decides to try and make an MC that's not completely dumbass and like helpless and the princess in fucking distress, whatever the fuck it's called. I can't think of the name right now. Fucking Mika. Does he love me?
James gently smiled and caressed my cheek. The warmth of his hand invited me to nuzzle into it, and I closed my eyes. This wasn't a dream. My heart was pounding to the point where I was sure James could hear it. James gently leaned in, closing his eyes. He stopped, however, remaining just a mere torturous inch away from my lips. He wanted me to show my feelings for him. He had left himself open for me to kiss him or to leave him empty. The power I had was unbelievable. Well, you're not really going to have much power if you think about it. Just, knowing what we know of James, just.
My kinky boy. I love him so much, please.
I I loved him and wanted to give him exactly what he wanted. I gently leaned in, letting my lips finally touch his gingerly. James let out an almost pleasured purr against my lips before wrapping both of his arms around my waist, pulling me close to him. I moved my arms up and around his neck, feeling the kiss between us deepen to a heated height. My chest was pounding, making me feel and see fireworks in my mind. James was everything I desired. He was the man I wanted, demon or not. It was also supernatural to fall in love with someone so quickly. Maybe it was the sense of magic I was thrown into.
Or maybe it's not actually love.
Maybe it was Cupid playing with my heart. Either way, I found myself melting at the thought of him being with me. I mean, this is not Cal, so.
Shut. Please, I cannot handle that while I'm working on Zio right now.
I found myself combing my fingers through James's hair, making the man holding me softly tremble at my touch. He gently nibbled on my lower lip, asking me to deepen the kiss between us even further. I easily teased him before finally opening my mouth slightly for him. His tongue gently danced with mine as
I'm sorry.
as one of his hands slid up my back and cradled my head. He gently laid my body back, making me cling to him as the heat of our kiss rose higher and higher. Gently though, James slowed the kiss down and pulled away, staring down at me. His eyes burned from me, wanting me to melt and buckle in his arms. I could feel myself melt already. James opened his mouth to speak, but as a very small blush ran along his cheeks, he was reduced to a shy silence. I stared as he tried to find the words to say in my eyes. I knew exactly what he wanted. He didn't need energy, though, right? Does that really matter at this point?
Why should it
Are you?
No, I just.
I stared wide-eyed, feeling a blush
men.
on. What?
I said horny men.
Oh. I stared wide-eyed, feeling a blush on my cheeks grow. He didn't say anything more, but I knew what words would have followed if he continued. He wanted me. I was stunned. Was I that appealing to him? Was his passion really that deep for me? James gently lifted his head and kissed my forehead, losing the blush and finally being able to speak.
If you don't want to, we don't have to.
Consent is important, kids. Remember that. I could feel my mind go numb and purr at the idea. A moment with an incubus. He was a demon of sex, the purest form of lust and desire. My world would rock and I would enjoy every second of it. Yes, she would. I know Virgil would. Yeah. At the same time, I was indeed inexperienced. Diana wasn't wrong when she claimed me to be innocent. Did I want to give that innocence to him? Especially this early? I mean, you guys have been dating for about a week now, so I mean, I think it's about time.
I mean, me and my boyfriend fucked literally.
Ah! Anyway.
Literally the day we got together.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Wild.
Oh my god. Alright. I found myself forgetting the words yes and no. What could I say to him? I knew then what I wanted, but how to say it without breaking the moment. Seduce me. I couldn't believe the two words that came out of my mouth. It made the most sense to tell him yes. I needed him. I wanted him. Those two words must have made something in him finally break. Oh god, here we go. James quickly resumed the kiss with me, to which I eagerly kissed back and pulled him closer to my body. The heat inside of my chest was craving his touch, and I needed to deny any space between us. James lowered a hand and brought one of my legs around his waist as he lowered his other hand to my waist. Without breaking the kiss, I gripped his
How
shoulders
did
and
you just read that?
what?
Okay, sorry. No, I heard you wrong. I
Oh,
thought you read something wrong.
no. Without breaking the kiss, I gripped to his shoulders and jumped off of my feet, wrapping both of my legs around him and making him hold me up. His touch kept raising my need for him higher and higher, bringing my mind to the desire that was buried in the back of my mind. James held me close, kissing me deep and making me moan against his lips. I could feel our bodies sink into the ground, noticing a gentle gold glow penetrate through my closed eyelids. Before I could open my eyes, however, I felt our bodies fall onto a familiar feeling bed with James landing on top of me. Here's your picture, you James Simps. Here you go.
I don't even. I listen. I have no hate towards the artist for the first game. I think they're great, but
Here we go.
some of
Here's
their
the artist
CGs.
lecture.
Listen,
Here we go.
some of their CGs bother me a little bit. Maybe it's just because I'm really disappointed, and I listen. Continue.
Oh my god, okay. I stared up at James as he pulled his face slowly away from mine. His eyes were almost glowing in the dark room, piercing into my soul and making me shiver in anticipation. He effortlessly removed his gray sweater and red tie, leaving him in his tightly fitted white button-up over me. I could practically feel the heat of his skin through the thin fabric. Tongue twister. Blah, blah, blah. Got it. All right. However, as he held me, I could slightly feel the shiver of his hands. He was nervous. Was I his first? He wasn't going to show it. He wanted me to enjoy this moment, but was afraid of screwing up. His shivering hands showed me his emotions perfectly. I gently reached up and brought his head down, kissing him once again. I wanted him not to worry. The pleasure between us would be heavenly, and we'd go through it together. I closed my eyes and gave myself to James. And who knows what kinky shit they got up to after that.
I mean, it was James' first time with the dude, and he's very not open about, the things.
True. But, I mean, if Mika's anything like Flynn in this era. Oh my god.
I just did a whole part of Azayo's hair, and I didn't have the symmetry layer on.
Oh my god. Ha. My body, my mind, my soul, it all belonged to him as he held me. His body, his mind, his soul, it all belonged to me as I gave into his embrace. His kisses and fingers over my skin would forever engrave themselves into my memory as our passion rose to incredible heights.
Hey, can you do me a favor?
Right now?
Can you scroll back, screenshot the James CG and send it to me? I need it for a color reference.
Oh my god. I can get it after this. I'm gonna have it in the files.
Oh wait, it's 9 o'clock anyway.
I know, so I'm trying to finish up. Our breaths and moans to each other equally sounded and echoed like a blissful chant we never wished to end. We kept moving, loving, feeling every inch of our bodies until we had had enough and I was enveloped in his embrace. Could you ever have enough of this man?
No.
Skin to skin, heartbeats matching, we held each other in the glow of the aftermath. I nuzzled my head under James's chin as he held me close.
I love you so much.
I love you too. Oh God. Just to hear those words come from James's mouth made my heart flutter.
I know, right, Mika?
To hear me answer made my soul warm in glee. I could feel both of us sink into a peaceful sleep together. It was the best sleep I had had in days, and I was happy. I had love and I had my happiness. My life was simply perfect. All right, Diana.
Before
Yes, we're skipping you because I literally could care less.
there's the point.
Uh,
I feel offended.
no. Well, yada yada yada. Okay. The rest of the story can almost be passed over. Actually, hold on. Yep. Skip a little bit more. One night, a good couple of years after the boys and I had met, I had a moment to myself. So I sat in my room and took in all that had happened as if it was all a dream. The demons, the devils, the magic. It was all surreal to believe. It almost frightened me to think that it could have all been a dream. But the warm feeling in my heart reminded me that it was all real. The demons, the magic, the love I had, all real. I smiled as I held my hands to my chest, relishing in the feelings dancing within my soul. I can talk. I'm fine.
Having fun there?
Are you okay?
Uh, I looked up from my lap to see James standing at the doorway, crossed-armed with a playfully raised eyebrow. I smiled and blushed a bit. What?
What?
You were clearing your throat, or as you were trying to get my attention.
Yeah, because my throat was needing to be cleared.
What? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm okay. I was remembering how we met and such.
Were you now?
Yeah, and I wouldn't change anything. James smiled and walked over to me, gently taking my hands and kissing over the knuckles sweetly.
Come, I have a surprise for you.
I raised an eyebrow. A surprise? What the heck was he plotting? James simply chuckled and kissed my forehead.
I promise you'll love it.
Deciding to go along with it, I nodded and stood up. James gently took my arm under his and led me out of my bedroom.
Please come.
I,
So
I,
bored.
I stared in shock at the path of golden rose petals lining the floor, creating a path away from my door. James led me down the golden rose path as if this was all part of his plan. James, what's going on? James didn't answer. He continued to lead me down the stairs of the lobby where the path uh wounded up in the dining room. Christ. I stared in shock as I saw the table set with candles and a large banquet of golden roses decorating the middle. James, I feel sorta underdressed, you know?
There's nothing wrong with how you look now. You're beautiful no matter what clothes you are in.
Or out of.
You're not making this easy for me. Like, at all.
I couldn't help but let a red blush paint my face, making James chuckle once again. He led me to my seat where I was greeted with a plate of shrimp pesto on the table. James?
Remember what that is?
Of course. That, sir, is a shrimp pesto dish. That is my best James impression, and that's it.
Stop.
James laughed and smiled. I smiled back up at him, feeling nostalgia run over my heart. Giddy happiness bubbled as I looked up at the man I had loved. You made it when we first met, when you and your brothers were apologizing for getting blood in the lobby.
Well, it was more than that we had to apologize for, but that was the gist of it, yes.
Ah, I got an itch on my back.
Good for you.
Uh,
You deserve it.
wow. How could I forget? What's this all about? James gently bent forward and kissed my forehead sweetly, making me giggle slightly.
You are such a wonderful woman. I can't believe that I can love someone
Not a
this
woman,
much.
but thank you.
You have changed my whole world, and now you have become my everything. I practically get scared waking up every morning in case this is all just a blissful dream.
James.
I love him.
Before I could speak further, James gently placed his fingers on my lips, hushing me, before he caressed my cheek. I nuzzled into his hand, almost purring at the feel of the warmth against my cheek.
I
Blah, blah,
love
blah.
you, and I will never stop loving you. No matter what
Jesus
comes our
Christ.
way, I
Why
promise to be
can't
there for you
Tubbo
as
say these
long as
things to
time
me?
keeps moving.
Wow!
I want to be
Sorry.
yours forever.
I shouldn't be like that. I don't think he's watching this stream though, so I'm good. I'm safe.
Oh my god, I'm gonna clip that.
Stop!
I'm gonna clip that.
Do not
Hold on 1 second. We're gonna pause for just a moment.
hit it here.
We're gonna clip that. 1 second. Hold on. Hold on.
You're gonna get me in trouble with my boyfriend.
Hold on a second. We're
You're
gonna
gonna get me in
clip
trouble
that.
with my partner. You're gonna get me in trouble with my partner.
We're gonna
Tubbo
clip
say
that.
these things to me.
Wow.
I want to be
Yep.
yours.
Okay, well, there we go. Got it. Alright, hold on. At the feel
not
of the
send it
warmth
to him.
against my cheek.
I
Blah, blah,
love you, and I will never stop loving you. No matter what
Jesus
comes
Christ.
our way, I promise
Why
to be
can't
there for
Tubbo
you
say
as
these
long as
things to
time
me?
keeps moving.
Wow.
I want to be yours forever.
I shouldn't be like that. Not send it to him. I will cry.
No, I think I'm gonna send it.
Stop.
Alright.
You're a bitch. No.
Let's see. What should I title it? Virgil.
Virgil betrays his boyfriend.
Yeah, betrays his boyfriend.
I'm sorry, Tubbo. I'm cheating on you with
Okay. Well, alright, so that's clipping now. Alright. Before I could realize what was going on, James slowly got down on one knee beside me and took out a small black box. He lifted the top to reveal a beautiful ring with a purple gem crowned with gold and purple embellishments.
He's so perfect. He is so perfect.
There's your picture, you James Simps. Oh God.
I want him to be real.
I stared, my mind instantly freezing in surprise at the sight. I felt my eyes water at the immense feelings bursting inside my chest.
Will you, Miss Anderson, marry me?
Yes!
I was speechless. I felt myself break and start to weep in joy. Was this happening? This had to be a dream. I mentally begged every single deity in the sky to never wake me up if that was the case. I fought my tears trying to speak to answer his question. I didn't want to leave him in the dark, and I didn't want him to be on the ground for long. Yes, I will. I stood up, crying and jumping in joy as James smiled, the biggest smile I had ever seen on his face, and slid the ring onto my ring finger. As it finally ended its upward journey at the crevice of my finger, James stood up and took me into his arms, kissing me and sealing my words. I had gained the heart of a demon, no, of a man I loved. I vowed to cherish him and love him for the remainder of my days and beyond.
If Mika were to ever hurt James, I would literally, I genuinely think if Mika ever had a canonical, like, cheating route on James, I would sue Michaela.
Hey,
Literally.
who doesn't love a yandere James though? Just saying.
You can't do this to me.
Oh my god, maybe we should turn that into an RP.
Stop.
All the boys go yandere.
We already have Cal.
Can a demon love a human forever? I knew James would.
I think
And
Cal's
that
literally
was my
trying to fuck
happily
Jen's
ever
son.
after. Alright, guys, so before I go ahead and let the credits roll, I'm going to go on ahead and say my outro now. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and I will hopefully be seeing you guys tomorrow. So until then, everyone, Jordy out. Everyone enjoy the credits,
Yo,
and
did you actually
Michaela's
send the clip to Tebo?
not yet. Alright, guys, enjoy Michaela's beautiful singing and the.
He's a wonderful.
Yes.
We get to do her route. No, we don't do her route. No. No. Not send it to him. I'm gonna cry. Fucking Atlas. I hate you. I hate you. Darling. Stop. 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 Stop.
At the feel.
Can they hear me since they can hear you seduce me? So they're just only getting one side of this conversation. Yeah. Fuck you. Yo, everybody watching this stream is a whore. Why don't you slow your viewers? You're the one talking to me. This song used to make me cry. She's not singing. I'm not even talking. Am I breathing too loud?
Alright, guys, so there you go. That is the end of James's route. And now, next week, we'll be starting the second to last route, which is going to be Damien. And then after that is going to be Diana herself. And then we will move on to the episode series. And then finally, the second game.
I'm really
So.
mad that you're saving Diana for last.
um.
So hot.
So anyway, I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow, and until then, everyone, Jordy out. Goodbye, guys. Say bye, Virgil.
Fuck off.
Bye.